For part 2, we're going to turn our painted papers into Picasso pumpkins. Picasso liked to have facial features that looked in 2 different directions. He wanted to show different sides of the same object. So he would add eyes that look to the side and eyes that look straight forward. And he would have a nose that's off to the side with a mouth that's straight forward. You're going to first cut out your pumpkin and add it to your background, and then pick features to make your Picasso pumpkin. I also wanted to add a little bit more texture. So I got out these neon oil pastels, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw lines that I think would represent the grass. Maybe some zigzag lines, maybe some lines that are just up and tilted, like the grass has been growing for a long time in the fall. It hasn't been cut in a while. So I'm just going to add different shades of green to make that more interesting. And then I feel like our pumpkin is missing a spooky moon. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to do a full moon, like we're looking at it from the front. And then I'm going to add maybe a crescent moon. And then I'm going to, oh, that's kind of like Van Gogh. I could add some swirls like Van Gogh. And I could create movement like Van Gogh. Some stars with dotted or dashed lines to create movement and interest in our background. So I'm just doing line, space, line, space, line, space, and curves around the stars and the moon. And then line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space. Dashed lines in the sky. If I have some white space that I didn't want, I could add some more purple. I could just add that for movement too. And now I'm ready for my Picasso pumpkin. I just turned it into a Van Gogh sky because he's one of my favorites, but we're focusing on Picasso. We're gonna turn this pumpkin into a Picasso. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut. I want to leave no white. I'm just going to go around my bumpy lines here. I don't want to leave white on the edges. And then I have my pumpkin. I have to try to figure out what's the top and what's the bottom. The thinner part is the top. The wider part's the bottom, and I'm going to make a stem too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these pieces of paper. See how there's a little rectangle there? I'm just going to cut up one side, and then with my table saver, I'm going to add some green onto my rectangle stem with texture, some lines. And I'm going to glue that on the back of my pumpkin so that I have a stem. I'm going to use a SpongeBob today. Sponge is soaking in glue. I'm just going to dip it in and I'm going to stick it on the back, and so that I have a stem for the top of my pumpkin. I'm also going to use a regular glue because this is too big to fit in my sponge, and my glue is going to go twist the top open, make sure it's ready to use around the outside, and maybe a squiggle in the middle, and don't forget some on that stem. And then I'm going to rub-a-dub-dub, turn it over and make sure it's nice and flat, and I'm going to let that dry. As that dries, I'm looking at facial features. I want to pick which eye I want for the front facing, and which eye looks like a side facing. So I'm going to pick this one for the front facing, and you have a choice. You could keep the rectangle because Picasso was a cubist painter, so he kind of liked the rectangle and square shape. Then I'm going to pick a side eye. And you get to pick if you want to cut around or keep it square. I'm gonna cut around this one because I have a choice. So I have my two eyes. Then I need to pick a nose and a mouth. And again, you could keep it square or you could cut around. That choice is up to you. And then I'm going to pick a mouth. And I'm changing my shades of orange. And now I'm ready to use my SpongeBob to finish my pumpkin. So I have my pumpkin back. I'm going to dip and pull it out and put it near the top of my pumpkin. I'm gonna dip, pull it out, put it near the top of my pumpkin. Make sure everything lays nice and flat. Any extra glue will dry. Then I'm gonna dip and glue it on my pumpkin. And again, dip and glue it on my pumpkin. Maybe I want this off to the side to add a little bit more interest. And then I'm done. Once I make sure all of my features are flat on my pumpkin, I'm gonna clean up my supplies. The SpongeBob needs its lid. I need to make sure my pastels go back in the tray. I'm going to save the extra eyes for the next group of kiddos. And then anything that I cut off, I'm throwing in the garbage. You're going to now leave these to dry, and then once they're dry, you're going to take them home, and you have a Picasso pumpkin.